You know we love to tackle those topics that keep you up at night, and today we're going deep on something that's both exciting and potentially terrifying. The financial side of having a baby.
Oh yeah, the little bundles of joy that come with a whole lot of expenses.
Exactly. I mean, you dream of those first smiles and those little baby shoes, but then you realize, diapers aren't free. So today, we're going to break it all down for you, give you the real deal on the costs of bringing a tiny human into the world.
We're talking everything from those one-time costs that can hit you right off the bat, like the hospital bill for labor and delivery.
Yeah, speaking of hospital bills, you want to know what shocked me? The average cost for labor and delivery in the U.S. for insured parents is almost $14,000. I mean, that's down payment on a house. Did someone forget to tell babies how expensive they are to deliver?
Right. And that's just the average. I mean, the cost can actually range anywhere from $7,000 to $17,000 depending on where you live.
See, this is why I love having you here, because you bring the facts and the figures.
Well, got to keep it real, right? And the Healthcare Costs Institute, they've done some research on this, and it turns out even within the same state, prices can be wildly different.
So location applies to babies too. Okay, so first takeaway for our listeners, check your insurance policy. Like, know it inside and out, what's covered for prenatal care, the hospital stay, and all those tests they do.
And if you don't have private insurance, look into options like Medicaid or CHIP. They're government programs that provide low-cost or free health care. Could be a big help.
Right. Got to explore all the options.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've tackled the hospital bill, but then there's the whole world of baby gear. I'm talking strollers, car seats, cribs. Oh, my.
Yeah, it can definitely feel overwhelming, like you need to buy out an entire baby store.
Right. And the marketing doesn't help. Makes you think you need every gadget and gizmo out there.
Yeah.
But really, what are the must-haves, especially when it comes to those big-ticket items?
Well, for travel, safety is key. So a car seat is non-negotiable. It's actually required by law. And for safety reasons, always buy a car seat new. You don't want to risk using one that's been in an accident.
Okay, that makes total sense. So no hand-me-downs for car seats. But what about strollers? Those things can cost a fortune. Like, I've seen stroller systems that are over $1,000.
Yeah, you can definitely go high-end with strollers, but you can also find great ones for a fraction of the price. And here's a tip. Borrowing or buying used is a fantastic option for a lot of baby gear.
I love that. Our listeners are probably already texting their friends who have kids.
Hopefully. You can find baby carriers, diaper bags, even portable playpens in excellent conditions secondhand.
And think about it. Babies grow so fast. Why spend a ton of money on something they'll only use for a few months?
Makes sense, right? And online parent groups are a goldmine for finding deals on used baby gear.
Okay, so we've got travel covered. Next up, setting up the nursery. Cribs, bassinets, changing tables. It's like furnishing a whole new apartment.
It can feel that way, but honestly, babies don't care about fancy furniture.
You're telling me they don't need a designer crib?
Not at all. They need a safe place to sleep and a loving environment. That's what matters. So prioritize needs over wants. A crib with a firm mattress is essential.
But you don't necessarily need that top-of-the-line changing table.
Exactly. Could you borrow a bassinet from a friend? Set up a changing station on top of a dresser? Get creative.
Think outside the crib, literally.
I love it. And this whole borrowing concept applies to so much baby gear, right? It's like the ultimate in sustainability.
Exactly. Good for your wallet and good for the planet.
Okay, we've tackled travel, nursery setup.
Yeah.
What about feeding? Is there a big difference in cost between breastfeeding and formula feeding?
There can be, both in terms of initial costs and ongoing expenses.
So break it down for us. What are we looking at?
Breastfeeding can be very cost-effective, especially if the parent is able to stay home.
Yeah.
You'll still need some supplies like nursing bras, breast pads.
Oh, and those adorable nursing covers. Do they have a runway show for those yet? Haha, maybe they should. But yeah, breastfeeding can be very budget-friendly.
And what about formula feeding? That can get pretty pricey, right?
It can, especially if your baby needs a specialized formula. The costs add up quickly.
So it's something to factor into that budget, whether you're planning to breastfeed, formula feed, or do a combo of both. Now let's talk about another path to parenthood. Adoption.
Right. Families who adopt have their own set of financial considerations.
Adoption is such a beautiful way to build a family, but I know the cost can be significant.
They definitely can. The expenses can vary widely, but it can reach up to $50,000 or more. This includes fees, legal services, travel, sometimes medical assistance for the birth parent.
Wow, that's a big investment.
Yeah.
What are some ways families can manage those costs?
Research is key. And explore all avenues for financial assistance. Some employers offer adoption benefits, like leave or financial help. There are government programs and grants too.
So doing your homework is crucial. I bet there are support groups and online forums where families can connect and share advice about adoption.
Absolutely. Connecting with others who have gone through it can be invaluable.
Okay, so we've covered those big upfront expenses. Labor and delivery, baby gear, the nursery, and adoption. But we're just getting started. Next, we'll dive into the ongoing expenses that come with raising a little one. Those costs that just keep on coming as your baby grows. Stay tuned.
Okay, so are you ready to dive into the ongoing expenses? You know those costs that just keep on coming month after month as your little one grows?
I'm ready. Let's tackle those recurring costs. What's usually the biggest one for new parents? Where does the money really go?
For a lot of working parents, it's childcare. And the costs can be pretty shocking. In some cases, it can even be more than your mortgage payment.
Yeah, and that's every month. I've seen figures like $10,000 a year for daycare, but like $28,000 or more for a nanny. That's a huge difference.
And those are just national averages. Where you live makes a big difference. Big cities are usually a lot more expensive than rural areas.
Makes sense. And of course, the age of the child matters too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Infant care is typically the most expensive. Babies need a lot more attention, so you need more caregivers per child.
Okay, so it sounds like finding affordable and quality childcare is a major hurdle for a lot of families. What can parents do to manage these costs? I mean, what are some strategies?
Well, the biggest thing is to start planning early. Like when you're pregnant, start thinking about childcare. If you wait till the last minute, you might not have a lot of good options and the prices will be higher.
Right, so it's not just finding a place, it's finding the right place.
Exactly. And there are different types of care to consider. There's in-center daycare, there are family childcare homes, nannies, and even sharing a nanny with another family.
Okay, so do your research, explore all the options. What about help with the cost? I've heard about tax breaks or subsidies.
Yeah, the government offers some tax credits to help families with these expenses. The big one is the Child Independent Care Credit. You can actually claim a percentage of your child care expenses on your federal taxes.
Okay, so that can help. What about other tax credits that might be helpful for new parents?
There's also the Child Tax Credit. That gives you a credit for each qualifying child under 17. And it's refundable, so even if you don't owe taxes, you can still get the credit back.
Well, a refundable credit. That's a big deal for some families. Are there any other credits that are specifically for lower income families?
Yes, there's the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC. It's for working individuals and families with low to moderate incomes. And it can be a pretty significant financial boost. The amount depends on your income and how many kids you have.
Okay, so there are some options for help. Our listeners should do some digging and figure out which ones they qualify for. And of course, talk to a tax professional to make sure they're getting everything they're entitled to.
Yes, definitely. Understanding taxes can really save you money.
Okay, so childcare is a biggie. What about the other regular costs? You know, like those things that never seem to end. Diapers, wipes, clothes, and then, of course, all that baby food.
Oh yeah, those everyday expenses really do add up, especially in the first few years when babies are growing so fast. It's like they go through clothes and diapers in the blink of an eye.
I've heard those diaper blowout stories. Okay, so let's break down the costs. Starting with diapers, how much can you expect to spend?
Well, brace yourself, because in the first year alone, you could easily spend around $1,000 just on diapers and then another $450 on wipes.
$1,000? That's like a monthly car payment. Babies really go through that many diapers.
Oh yeah, we're talking like 3,500 diapers in that first year. That's a lot of changing, a lot of laundry, and a lot of trips to the store.
Okay, I'm officially looking into cloth diapers. There's got to be a more budget-friendly and eco-friendly option out there.
Yeah, cloth diapering has gotten more popular lately. It can save you money, but you do have to buy the diapers up front and do more laundry.
It's all about figuring out what works for your family and your budget, right? What about clothing? They grow out of their clothes so fast.
They do. The USDA actually estimates that you'll spend between $670 and $1,110 on clothes in the first 2 years.
Wow, so that averages to around like $56 a month on the low end, but there's always secondhand shopping.
Absolutely. Consignment stores, online swaps, hand-me-downs from friends and family. It all helps.
It's good for the environment, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so diapers, clothes, what about food? I'm assuming the grocery bill goes up when they're eating solids.
It does, but it's not as bad as you might think. Once they're eating solids, you can expect to spend around $100 a month on baby food.
That's not too bad. Definitely less than my teenage nephews go through. They can demolish a fridge in a day.
Haha, yeah, teenage boys are a different story.
Okay, so food is manageable. Now, medical expenses, those don't just disappear after the delivery, do they?
No, unfortunately not. You've got those regular checkups, the immunizations. It's all important. You can expect maybe 6 doctor visits in the first year, plus extra visits if they get sick.
So factor in those costs. Copays, procedures. Speaking of budgeting, what happens if one parent decides to stay at home with the baby? That's a big financial change.
Yeah, it is. You're losing an income, and that has a big impact on your budget and your long-term financial goals.
Right. And there's FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act. It offers up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave, but not every employer is covered by that. And even if they are, it's unpaid.
Right. So you have to figure out, can you live on one income? Do you have savings? And there's also the impact on your career to think about.
So try living on a one-income budget before the baby comes to get a feel for things.
Right.
And build up that emergency fund.
Exactly. That's smart planning. And there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to staying home or going back to work. It's what works best for your family.
Okay, so we've covered the immediate baby cost and the ongoing ones. But what about planning for the future? Things like college and life insurance.
Those are important things to think about, especially for new parents. It's never too early to start planning for the future.
I know, college seems so far away, but those costs are scary.
They are. The average yearly cost can range from $10,740 for in-state public schools to almost $38,070 for private schools.
Wow, those numbers are crazy high. So starting a college fund early is key.
Absolutely. And there are a few different options, like 529 plans, covered L education savings accounts, and UGMA, UTMA custodial accounts. Do some research and figure out which one is best for you.
I've heard 529 plans have become more flexible lately.
Yeah, you can use them for K-12 education expenses, apprenticeships, and even student loan repayment.
Oh, wow, so they're more versatile now. And didn't they just add a rollover option?
Yes, you can roll over up to $35,000 from a 529 account to a Roth IRA. There are some conditions, though.
That's a game changer. So 529 plans are definitely worth looking into. What about life insurance? Is that something new parents need to think about?
It is. It can give you some peace of mind knowing that your child will be taken care of if something happens to you.
Yeah, that's important. And it's not just life insurance, right? There's disability insurance, too.
You got it. If you can't work because of a disability, it can replace some of your income.
Okay, so many things to think about. It feels like a lot, but it's important. It's not just about diapers and daycare. It's about building a strong financial base for your family.
Exactly. Having a baby is a big life change. It's a good time to look at your financial goals and make sure they're in line with your new priorities.
And we can't forget about health insurance. You have to have good coverage when you have a kid. Medical bills can be scary.
Absolutely. Even just one trip to the ER can wipe out your savings. Make sure you have good health insurance for you and the baby.
So important. Healthy parents, healthy finances, it all works together. What about those flexible spending accounts? I've heard those can be good for parents.
They can. FSAs let you set aside money before taxes for things like childcare and healthcare costs.
So you own down taxes.
Yeah, you're not paying taxes on the money you put into the FSA.
That's great. So talk to your employer or a financial advisor about setting up an FSA.
Good idea. They can be really helpful for those ongoing expenses.
Okay, so we've covered the big expenses, the long-term stuff, but what about some day-to-day tips for saving money? Because babies can be expensive, but you don't have to go broke.
Oh, for sure. There are ways to make your money stretch without sacrificing your baby's well-being.
I'm all about saving money. Hit me with those genius tips.
Well, first things first, embrace the world of secondhand shopping.
Okay, I'm listening.
Consignment stores, thrift shops, online marketplaces, you can find amazing deals on baby clothes, toys, gear, all that stuff. Babies grow so fast, there's no need to buy everything new.
Yeah, it's like a constant cycle of buying and selling or donating. And a lot of these stores actually buy back gently used items so you can get some cash back or store credit.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of online swap groups and parent networks.
Yeah, I bet those are gold mines for free or cheap baby stuff.
They are. Sometimes people are just looking to get rid of things.
Love it. It's like a community effort to raise a baby. What about childcare? Any tips there?
If you have family or friends who you trust, see if they'd be willing to babysit sometimes.
Yeah, it's good to have backup for those unexpected situations. Like when your kid gets sick and can't go to daycare. That can be a real budget buster.
For sure. So having a plan B can save you a lot of stress and money.
Okay, good tip.
What else? Don't be afraid to borrow the big stuff.
Like what?
Cribs, high chairs, those bulky items that take up a lot of space. See if someone you know has one they're not using.
I bet people have tons of baby stuff just sitting around gathering dust.
They do. Give those items a second life.
Brilliant. And speaking of stuff, don't forget the baby registry.
Ah, yes, the registry.
It's the best way to make sure you get gifts that you actually need.
Right. Avoid those duplicates and those things you'll never use.
It takes the guesswork out of gift giving for everyone. Okay, any last bits of wisdom for our listeners?
Well, having a baby changes your life, so it's a good time to take a look at your budget and see if there are areas where you can cut back.
Right, reevaluate those spending habits.
Maybe downgrade your car, cook more meals at home, cancel some subscriptions.
You know, those little things can add up, like packing your lunch instead of buying it every day.
Exactly. It's all about being more mindful. And remember, yes, babies cost money, but the joy they bring is priceless.
So true. It's about finding that balance, being prepared financially, but also enjoying the journey. I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
We have.
We've covered those big expenses, the ongoing costs, long-term planning. It can feel overwhelming, but remember, knowledge is power.
And there's no right way to do things. It's about what works best for your family.
So as you get ready to welcome your little one into the world, do your research, make a plan, build your support network, and most importantly, enjoy those precious moments. Because pretty soon there'll be teenagers asking for the car keys and raiding the fridge.
And asking about their college fund.
Oh yeah, the cycle continues. Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the financial world of having a baby. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.